Hello everyone. Today we're back at it again with the Taimanov attack. So far we've looked at Bishop d7, which is the second most common move on elite chess. Now we're going to look at the third most common move. Again, a very popular move is Nbd7 blocking with the knight, and this is not so good. And we're going to punish it with e5. Very similar to the last line. We see this knight would really love to be able to retreat to d7. But because we force black this check to occupy the d7 square, the knight no longer has the d7 square and has to go to some other inferior square. The best idea is for black to first take e5, and then play knight h5. And there's a very small nuance to that. But first we'll look at just what happens if knight h5 right away. We simply play e6, exploiting the pin on this knight. And black doesn't have any good options here. The engine recommended line is to simply castle and give up the piece. Obviously we're going to take it. And there's a lot of crazy lines here that the engine gives to give, like queen f3 is plus 1.7 for some reason. But the very simple knight g2, wanting to castle kingside next, is what's been played on elite chess, and I think it's the best move. This is only plus 1.5 versus plus 1.7, so this is very easily playable. After castling, just take it. e6, instead, I can try this move queen h4, and we'll see in a lot of lines later on. We have to block with g3. Here, g3 is very complicated. A lot of complications. You wouldn't go into it if you don't have to. Here, after queen h4, we're very simple. King f1. And the point is that in the equivalent line after taking and now queen h4, g3 is necessary because if king f1, black can has exchanged his f pawn for the d pawn, and now after something like taking on e6 and castling, our king comes under very serious fire because there's no f4 pawn. Whereas in the equivalent line here, after queen h4, king f1, we see that we will win this knight, and the d pawn and the f pawn here have not been traded. So after any fe6 and castling, our king is totally safe on f1. We can gain a tempo queen with knight f3, and we should be much better after taking black's knight. So that's e5, knight h5 without exchanging these pawns first. So also logical that has been played is queen e7, pinning the pawn to the king. We simply unpin with queen e2. Now we thought I'd take this knight, so if black, for example, castles, we just take it. And we're not really worried at all here. We're up a piece and white is much better. So black, instead of castling, should move their knight somewhere. There's a few options here. One is a very complicated line with g4, and black has queen h4, and maybe it's complicated, but very easy and straightforward and winning is e6, attacking the pin knight. So black castles, we're just going to take the knight and be better. And the engine gives some sort of king d8. Obviously, the king doesn't want to be on d8. We can take it again, and again we're simply better up a piece. There's no need for any g4 complications, just e6 and win the knight if you're able to. So now if we go back, we see e5. Black really should exchange these pawns. And most common is knight h5 here. This is what is in the master databases. They play this a lot. e6, hitting that knight, wanting to win the next, queen h4. And here, again, we see the difference that king f1 can't be played, and has been played a lot on elite chess, and people lose all their games here. King f1, these pawns have been traded, so boom, boom, boom. Don't forget, after queen h4 in this position, we have to play g3. That will take. Again, this should be a common theme to everybody here. Queen h1 and bishop e3 is a very nice move, defending the knight and preparing to castle queenside. This knight will be won next. So, for example, black castles, we take d7, take a few times, and I found this very amazing fact here that black has a 67% win rate from this position on elite chess. So, I don't know how that's possible. Black plays this move here. And white players just can't seem to handle themselves in this position. Obviously, we're going to take this. Play queen e2 is very important to unpin. And after bishop d4, castling queen side. Black has two moves that seem logical here, taking this bishop, obviously. So I have to take with the bishop, move our king, and who's the one being pinned? You thought you were pinning to my queen? I'm pinning to your rook. King f8, trying to unpin, but here we have a very nice rook e1. If, for example, h5, we can't take this obviously because it would take our queen. So here's to attack it again with knight e1, and white wins. So after castling, this doesn't work because we get counter pin. So instead, black has to take with the rook here, and after queen d2, the idea is very clear here. We're up a piece, and we should win with simple moves. So, for example, if black does something stupid like rook g3, we have a g2 with the double attack on the rook and the queen here. So, bishop e3, we take the queen. Here, the most move is some queen h5 nonsense and knight g2. And we see white is totally fine here and should convert with no issues. The problem is that a lot of people have failed to find this after rook a8 and taking the rook, thinking they're winning, and then black wins. So don't be one of the people who loses this position. It's a beautiful position, easily winning. You'd have to know queen e2. So we just looked at some interesting possibilities if black was to castle here and then sacrifice a rook, which is the most common way to play and very successful for black. I think we can fuse that very easily. More common is taking on c3 here, where we obviously take back. And now there are two ways for black to play. The first is with queen e4 here, trying to attack this and put pressure on this pawn as well. So here we take on d7, and a very accurate move here is queen d3, and we see edges as white's +2 here. The bishop's defended, all black's pressure is neutralized with this very accurate move, and white is much better. Instead of queen e4, much more accurate for black and challenging, here's the move a6. Here we take on d7, take the free piece, take back, and now there's two lines. For a long time, white was taking this bishop on d7, which is a good move, but recently the computers have come with this very nice move, bishop f1. The idea is that play king f2 and bishop g2, try to make a shelter for the king while getting tempos on the queen. So like usual castle here again, queen e4 and with queen d3. There's a lot of moves, but queen d3 is nice. So black castles, we play king f2. The idea is to just play bishop g2, and queen trades benefit us. We have two pieces for the rook. With this passed pawn here, we should have fine pressure in the endgame. So black plays rook f8, trying for some shenanigans here. Bishop g2. Queen h2 is the most common move, because we hit the queen and you have to move it. Knight f3, again another tempo on the queen. Queen h5. And now black actually has a 100% win rate from this position on leeches, which seems amazing, but white's king is pretty exposed and it's not easy to play. Every player has chosen bishop takes c5. Grabbing a pawn when they already have a better endgame. This is pointless pawn grabbing. Much easier and better. The engine likes this move much more. Is knight g5, and I just want to trade the queen. It's very simple. Queen's attacked. Where's it going to go? I'll just want to trade it. So the best move is to take on d1, take back with the rook, and white has a fine endgame. We have to use a little bit of technique here, but should be +4. I mean, that's good enough to win, right? And on queen h6, avoiding the queen trade, we have a lot of moves, but simple is queen f3. Just trying to start some attack here, and black will fall very quickly. White has a million pieces ready to swarm in, and yeah, black is dead. That was all after the very, not very challenging. White's better in other lines, but knight h5, there's some stuff to know. It's not so easy. I figured I'd also take a look at, obviously, the losing knight g8. Here we punish it very readily. It's a move that deserves to be punished. With e6, and black has a few ideas here. So the first one is going to be to take on c3, removing the defender of e4, and now going for this queen h4, queen e4 maneuver, trying to fork the king and the rook. Here we respond with queen e2, which is a very nice move with the idea that on a queen h1, there's a mate in like 4 or 5 or something with this sequence here. promoted the queen, and we see that because they discovered check, white wins very easily. So instead, black has to take on e2. Now after knight e2, we see we're just going to win this piece on d7 and the game with it. But after e6, instead of this bishop c3 idea, more common for black is to try fe6 and queen e7, where white has some beautiful shots here. Queen e2, just defending the pawn first, and now black likes to play a6, where we have the amazing move, knight d5. Who cares that a bishop is attacked? I'll take your queen. If the queen moves out of the way, it's a very easy checkmate. After this, with the discovered attack, is just too strong. So black should take up e5 and sacrifice the queen. Yeah, knight d5 is a cool move to know. That was a lot of fun, very easily winning lines after both bishop d7 in the last video and knight bd7 in this one. So in the next video, I'll actually cover some real lines here. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a good day, and goodbye for now.